recording? Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, we're in Frontline Outfitting Podcast. Welcome in this week. Got another really cool guest who's a good friend of mine, Sean McGuigan. And he's got a really cool story about where he grew up and his journey to America. Not quite like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall's coming to America. Yeah. But anyway, good friend of mine, known him a long time, just has a really cool story and some really cool things. We've been playing the band together for a long time, and good friends. So thanks for coming on, Sean.
And thank you for the shirt.
Oh, you're welcome.
Like it.
Yeah.
Frontline Outfitters. Here you go.
Frontline Outfitting. That's right.
Give us a like and a follow.
That's right. No, that's good. You should do that. We need to do a media spot right now. We should for a sponsor, but
all right.
So, the reason why I wanted to have you come on was because one, your job, and you had a pretty cool job in your career, but just we'll talk about the band and stuff. We've been playing together for a long time and the fun we had doing that. But right. So, can you just kind of talk about like whereabouts in Ireland did you grow up? Where were you born?
I was born in Northern Ireland. Was raised in a place, the Clady, Portland, which is in County Antrim. Grew up there.
Where, like north on the west coast, east coast, northern,
yeah.
like northern? I mean,
it's in the north, probably the very north of the northern part. Yeah, that's where I grew up as a child. Was there until my mom passed away in '97, and then we moved over to a town called Limavady, which is in County Derry. That's where my father's family was from, and that's kind of where I grew up from 11 till I was 18 years of age. So, yeah, growing up in Northern Ireland was quite the experience.
What just growing up in Ireland compared to like living in the States as long as you have, what do you think about it? Did you like Ireland as a kid, or? Yeah,
I mean that's kind of like all I knew. It's where I grew up. I mean that was home until I was 18, and then decided that I was going to, wanted a better life for myself. I wanted to get away from growing up in Northern Ireland, and there was no future over there. I mean, it was, I left when it was kind of like the heart of the troubles was there. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, there was never a future there for me in Northern Ireland at that time.
What sibling? What do you have for siblings?
I have two sisters and four brothers.
And where's everybody at?
I have a sister that lives in Eugene, and then the rest of my family still lives back in like Northern Ireland with a brother who lives over in Spain with his fiance. But
okay,
yeah, my family's still pretty much all there.
Do you get to see him much? Well, I mean, when you lived there here a few years ago, did you get to see him much?
Yeah, I got to come to the States was good and all that, but at the end of it, you miss your family. Your family still lives in Ireland. And when I retired from the state and moved back, 8 years ago, it was good because it was around my family. It was around my brothers and my sisters. Yeah. It was around my cousins, so that part was nice to be around them again, So,
sure.
Yeah.
So you're 18. What was your gateway to the United States? Like what? Could have been anywhere, right? I guess you could have gone to Germany, wherever, but the States were your landing spot.
Yeah, my aunt lived here. My Aunt Rita lived here, and she was my mom's only sister, and they were very tight. So, and my Aunt Rita had 3 girls. She never had a boy. My Aunt Rita would come back to visit in Ireland when I was growing up. So I always had like a bond with her. And then when my mom passed away, my aunt pushed me to come out to America to be with her. And, my aunt raised me like a son, Yeah. She was like my second mother. So that was my draw to come here to America.
And where did she live?
She lived in Eugene.
Okay.
And that's actually how I ever, I know you did a podcast with a good friend of ours, Tim Burr.
Yeah.
That was actually how I got to meet Tim, was through my Aunt Rita. Mm-hmm. Tim played in a bagpipe band down in Eugene area, and Rita was a dancer with the band. So when I came out to Eugene to visit, I was in Chicago prior to that.
Let's before you jump into Eugene, I want to touch on Chicago and what you did there.
Yeah. My cousin lived there, and my first experience, to be honest with you, when I moved from Ireland was to Eugene. And I was a little bit taken back. I was like, this is a whole different environment. It was just kind of like nothing that I was used to. It was just like people in Eugene were just kind of did Eugene things, you know? And I was like, I was ready to go back home, to be honest with you. I was like, if this is what the United States has got to offer, I'm heading back home, But my cousin Maureen actually lived in Chicago, and she was like, well, why don't you come here to Chicago and experience it first before you go back, Yeah. So that was an experience in itself because back then, I didn't have much money at the time. So I remember getting to Chicago. I took a Greyhound bus.
From Eugene to Chicago?
Yeah, Eugene to Chicago. It was like, I think it was like 19 or 20 at that time.
Stopping every 50 miles at a bus stop?
Stopping every 50 miles. I remember stopping at one bus stop in particular, because people get on and off at all stops,
Yeah.
So we stopped at one place. This guy had got on the bus and he was carrying like a paper bag and some stuff, and he sat right next to me. And then he goes, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to Chicago." And he goes, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "From Ireland." And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, I can't remember what state was he told me. He was, "I just got out of prison." I was like, "What? You just got out of prison?" I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" So yeah, it was quite the experience. Every stop that we came across, I was hoping this guy was going to get off the bus, but no, he stayed on there for quite a few stops. But yeah, long story short, probably one of my most memorable experiences. And if you've never taken a Greyhound bus across the country, well, something you need to experience at least once in your life.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how I ended up against Chicago, was on a Greyhound bus. But
when you got to Chicago, what'd you do before you and you'll have to, educate me on what you did, but I can't remember. You had some part of the fire service or something to deal with, but what'd you do when you got there?
I worked at a gas station. I just called myself a petroleum transfer engineer. Pump gas. They try to hype it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked at a gas station, and I did that. And then did that for a little bit, and then kind of got bored. And I took this idea on that I wanted to buy a tow truck and start my own towing business. So that's what I did. I bought a tow truck and started off with like a tow truck, and it was okay, but you kind of working for yourself and all the, it was a hard business to start. But I did that for a while, and then that was actually in a suburb called North Chicago. And then I did that for a while, and then the North Chicago Fire Department was actually hiring. They had paid on call firefighters. So I decided, yeah, why not? I had friends in Chicago that were full-time firefighters in Waukegan and Lake Zurich. So they're like, yeah, go for it. So I applied for it and I ended up getting hired as a paid-on-call firefighter in North Chicago, which, it is what it is. You carry a pager, and anytime there's a fire call, back in them days, the pager would go off, and you go to the fire station, and, you get paid per hour. So, and then some days you would just go and cover a shift, and you get paid for 24 hours. So that was my experience, working kind of with the fire service for the first time.
What year was that?
It was back in 1995, 96.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I did. And then, to be honest with you, I kept my only family out here really was my cousin Maureen had got divorced and moved back to Oregon, and I was kind of by myself there. And it didn't really hit me until around holidays. I mean, family then was important. I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
All my family was in Oregon. I didn't have anybody. And I come out one year for Christmas, and my aunt said to me, she goes, "What are you doing in Chicago?" And I said, well, I have this tow truck thing and got a job back there. And she goes, "At the end of the day, Sean, it's all about family, And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I decided that I was going to go back to Chicago and, kind of wind things up and move out to Eugene, Oregon again, So to be with my family. And then when I was out there, I told her I did the part-time firefighter thing back there. And then she had said, well, you know, I want you to introduce you to a friend of mine named Tim Burr. And she gave me his phone number. And she goes, you should call him. He's the PIO. He was fire department chief for Eugene. So I said, all right. So she gave me his phone number. And I called him one day at work. And I said, hey, you know, Tim Burr? I said, yeah. I said, I'm Sean McGuigan. I'm Rita Brown's nephew. And, you know, I'm interested in a career in the fire service. And, you know, you want to meet for a beer and you know, kind of give me some advice and some steps and, you know, about the fire service out here in Oregon. And
it's
what I need
competitive
to
back then too. You know?
Yeah, it was really competitive. And it was funny because, you know, I talked to Tim and Tim gave me some pointers, you know, kind of prepped me on how to do the application process, give me some pointers for like the interview process. And every time I interviewed for a department, I think I tested for like 3 or 4 departments back in that time. And it was really competitive. Like you're talking there's maybe 1 or 2 openings, but you've got 600 to 800 candidates applying at that time, you know?
Yep.
So I think, and Tim had talked about it in his podcast earlier. One of the first departments that I actually tested for when I came out to Oregon was Coos Bay. So, and if they were hiring, I tested for Coos Bay, and then I tested for a couple other agencies. But if they were hiring 2 firefighters, I was number 3. If they were hiring 4 firefighters, I was number 5. I was always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. So I always came in like close to getting it, but never got hired. So that was, and then I was at I can't remember, I think it was like Tigard was testing, and one guy had said one time that, you know, we were talking and he said, oh yeah, I applied for a job at the Department of Corrections at that time too. He said, oh, they're really hiring. So I'd never really thought about Department of Corrections at that time. My goal at that time was to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
So, and I just got kind of burned out of coming in second best all the time.
Yeah.
So I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll look into this Department of Corrections, you know? So, I applied for that and actually ended up getting hired with them right off the bat. You know, and this was back in like 1996.
Right.
So when I came out, so that was my first real full-time public service job was Department of Corrections.
Just a side note, being competitive, I tested with Portland in, man, like 99. And I remember going down to the convention center in Portland and there was 6,000 people testing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And my cousin's husband, Reed Godfrey, who was I think he might have been a lieutenant at the time at the Salem, said, man, if you can make the top 300, you'll be in good shape. Well, I ended up like 267 and they never got to that. Then I was like, oh, but I get it, you know, but dude, it was super competitive back in the day.
Back in, like, you know, forgot to tell you, like back like them days when I was in North Chicago, the city of Chicago Fire Department was hiring. And they had so many applicants. It was over a 3-day testing period. The amount of people that was putting in that time for Chicago Fire Department. I mean, it was like thousands and thousands of people.
Well, and you got to know somebody. It helps, right?
Well, I always thought if I ever got to an oral interview in Chicago Fire Department, I'd be hired already. Except from Ireland.
Yeah, I'm off the boat, right?
When can you start?
Yeah.
So
you would have been a pre-DEI hire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Back in them days, like I say, right now, I mean, you look at the agencies right now, I mean, they're like just crying out for people. And
it's crazy.
It's mental.
Crazy.
I mean, you're talking like how, you know, in like 20 years, how it's gone from so competitive right now to not getting enough candidates.
Right. And that's not even like the 08 crash when everybody had to, you know, leave teaching and become fire and police, right? Because that was good jobs and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We got a lot of people from the 08 crash, but you're right. It's nuts.
It's nuts now, yeah.
So when you got hired by DOC, by the state, where was the first place? Where did you work first?
When I first
when they hired you, did you have to put in the location thing where you were interested in working?
Yeah. I just kind of, at that time, I just put in for like wherever it was. And then when they were going through the hiring processes, we're going to hire you. We're going to send you to Ontario. I'm like, why would I go to Canada? They're like,
Right.
There's no Ontario, Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Where's that? They're like, it's as far east as you can go without, getting into Idaho. And at that time, Snake River was under this huge
was it
expansion.
Built? Okay, yeah.
They were building it.
Yeah.
So that time, Complex 1, and I remember like when I got hired, there was so many of us that got hired originally that they had to put on 2 academy classes just for Snake River. There were so many officers that got hired. But that was because they were expanding. At that time, they only had like Complex 1 that was open at the time, and they were building Complex 2 and Complex 3. So they were, expanding for like up to 3,000 inmates, that facility.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my first experience. So, yeah.
So you went to Snake?
I went to Snake River, started Snake, yeah. It was, the end of 96, 97. Was,
Did you go through the academy at Monmouth, or was it?
Yeah, it was Monmouth at Western University.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of like a college campus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're embedded with the state troopers. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it was, I got through the academy and then ended up moving out to Eastern Oregon, to Ontario, to start opening up Snake River, So I was like one of the original, staff that opened it. And back in that day, Snake River was considered like a gladiator school.
Yeah.
Because originally Snake River was built to house sex offenders. And the state of Oregon had so many inmates housed out of state, they had them housed in Arizona. So when Complex 2 and 3 opened, they started bringing the out-of-state inmates back to Snake River.
Yeah.
And, you're talking inmates that didn't want to really be there because it had the reputation of being like a sex offender camp.
Sure.
So, it was daily. It was always something that kicked off in Snake River.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy.
It's still the biggest prison in the state of Oregon, isn't it?
It is still the biggest prison.
Inmate-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did you work at Snake River then before you...
I was out there for a year and a half, and then decided I wanted to come back to the valley because, Snake River was, like I say, it was a gladiator school. Every single day there was major incidents happening. I mean, it was my first experience. I mean, I was like a rookie on the job, and they called it the Mother. I'll never forget this in my whole career in law enforcement. They call it the Mother's Day Massacre. It was Mother's Day in 1997. The inmates were coming back in from dining. They had left the chow hall and they were coming back into Complex 1. And about 30, 35 inmates, norteños, sureños, went full at it in the yard. And me and I think 4 other staff were supervising as they came through. They ended up kicking off, and we were caught right in the middle of it. And I mean, it was like, it was my first experience at like, what the hell is going on here? It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like a daily occurrence. I remember like working in segregation one night and doing, I think, 15 cell extractions in one night, like back to back to back.
Yeah.
It was
That's
like,
insane.
There was only a select few of us that had the cell extraction training. So we were the only ones. I mean, we were tired, as you know, like you worked in it yourself. You know, the amount of energy it takes, and, to do a cell extraction. And to have to do 15 of them back to back to back. I mean, you're physically exhausted.
Crazy.
I mean, it wore you down.
Was there tobacco still?
No, they had banned tobacco at that time, but a lot of the inmates from Arizona knew that you couldn't smoke in Oregon. So they were, keistering it back in.
Yeah.
So they were bringing a lot of it back in at that time. So
that was like late 80s, like 89, right? I remember OSP had, when I worked there, they had, during training, they'd show us these videos when we got new hire, but I'm trying to remember when they banned tobacco and there was this long period, maybe it was 94, But they gave them like a year notice, and
Yeah.
then they took it out, and they had kind of the same thing where it was just extraction after extraction after extraction.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think with the tobacco, it was, I think it came down from, I don't know for sure, but I had heard rumors that the reason that the department had came across with no tobacco was because there were so many inmates that had filed lawsuits for secondhand smoke because the inmates were smoking in the cells and all
Tort
that.
claims and all
Tort
that.
claims.
Yeah.
So I think that's what kind of pushed the department to go that way to like zero tolerance for tobacco and stuff like that. So that's what I had heard. But yeah, you'd be searching all these inmates and they'd be carrying tobacco. And I'm like, God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started in, like a year and a half of that, doing that in Snake River. And it's still to this day, it's, it was called Gladiator School back in them days. And then I got tired of it, so I put in for a transfer. Didn't get one, so then I ended up getting hired Clackamas County. They applied for them because I wanted to get away from that, dude. I was like, this is chaotic. This is nuts,
Yeah.
You only sustain so much of this,
Right.
A year and a half into the job, and this is, like,
Burnt
what
out
the
already.
hell?
Yeah.
Burned out, so to speak. But yeah, so I ended up coming back and working for, Clackamas. So,
And then you made another stint after that, to DOC again.
yeah, decided to return back to DOC in 2002. Yeah, just, that time I think Clackamas was going through some layoffs, budget cuts and stuff like that. There wasn't really job security with, at least with the state, there was job security.
Yeah.
And the state had agreed to hire me this time at OSCI.
Yeah.
So because I was a return employee and I'd left a good standing, and they were like, okay, we'll hire you back. We'll take you on at OSCI, and that was back in 2002. So that's where I went back there.
A lot of sheriff's offices didn't have stable funding too yet. So
yeah, there was a lot of sheriff's office back in them days where that time we're laying people off because of budget cuts and levies and all kinds of stuff. So at least I knew with the state, it was job security. Clackamas or whatever county you worked for at that time, your job was based on, funding
Levies,
levies getting passed and stuff like that. So
yeah.
so that was my pushback to go back for the DOC.
Okay. So you went to OSCI,
Yeah.
and then what year did you promote corporal?
It was funny because I never really thought about promoting. And the only reason I did is, like, as you know, when you work for the state, for every 5 years of service, you get a star, you get a name tag, So I was in a housing unit officer working with this guy, Corporal, and he had like more stars on his name tag than he did have letters in his name,
Yeah.
Being there forever, So I asked him, I said, what are you going to do to promote here? And he never said nothing to me. And then I said, excuse me, I just asked you a question. I said, what do you have to do to promote? He said, look, when you put one of these on your name tag, then you talk about me promoting. I know who you are. You're one of them Snake River wonders that come over here and think. So I was like, is that right? So when he said that, it made me want to be the first no-star captain in the state of Oregon. So he motivated me to promote. So I read every policy, I read every procedure, I studied everything, every email that came out. So, and then when there was a corporal opening that came out, it was at Coffee Creek. So I applied for it. And that time I was only like 6 months into the job. So I was like, I'm going to apply for this corporal. What the hell do I got to lose,
Yeah.
So I applied for it and I got it. So again, I was on this mission to be the first no-star captain in the state of Oregon. So, 5 years, I had a tough one to reach out because I had to do, I had to go through officer, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain before I got my first year star. And I had 4.5 years to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I put in for corporal, got hired at Coffee Creek, and then put in again for sergeant at Coffee Creek, got hired as a sergeant, I put in again for lieutenant, got hired as a lieutenant. And then there was an opening for captain at OSP. But 2 months before I hit my 5-year anniversary, I was like, fuck it, let's do it. I'm going for it, balls to the wall here, So I put in for it, and then I get a call from, that time, Frank Thompson was the superintendent at OSP at that time, you know. So he called me. He said, I need to talk to you. Come in my office. I'm like, so I left on to Coffee Creek and I went in there. And he said, I just want to let you know, you did an outstanding job in that interview. You really did. But I can't justify giving you a captain position.
With no star?
I didn't really say no star. He said, I can't really justify giving it to you right now. So I said, that's all right, Frank. No problem. Because if you had done it, I said, you know what I was going to do? I was going to hand it back to you and demote all the way back down to officer and say, I just wanted to do this to prove that it could be done. So it wasn't all about the star and the interview and name tag. That was my mission. I was like, hell,
Which would have been epic.
Yeah, it would have been. I wanted to like be a legend. I would just like to get it and then work one day as a captain and then say, all right, I'm done. I want to demote back down to an officer.
Yeah.
I just want to prove to that corporal that told me, I'm not going to mention his name, that until I had a star on my name tag, not to talk about promoting, just to show it could be done.
Yeah.
You know, and then I ended up sticking as a lieutenant. I was like, yeah, what the hell? I can enjoy being a lieutenant. So, yeah, so.
Yeah, but you had a really cool lieutenant gig.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I wore several different hats. I was the security threat. I was a gang investigations lieutenant. I overseen the investigations unit for the gang. I did investigations for inmates bringing in tobacco. I did some internal affairs investigations. And then I did a tour in segregation. And that was kind of one of my most memorable things when I was a special housing lieutenant. I got called up and I say, the superintendent wants to see you. I'm like, oh God, what the hell did I do now? You know? So I went up there and she's like, we have an issue. Okay. What's the issue? Figured, you know.
It's you.
Yeah. What did I do this time? Like, use profanity, offended somebody, you know?
Right.
And she said, Lane County's sentencing somebody to death. It's a female. I go, shit. What are we going to do? And she goes, exactly. What are we going to do? They're out deliberating right now. She's going to be the first female death row inmate in the state of Oregon. We have to house her if she gets convicted and gets sentenced to death. So we need to start working on this now. We have a special housing unit. We're not set up for death row. So what you need to do is come with a plan. Where are we going to house this female? You know, you can't, she has to have the same rights. She has to have everything as the male inmates have in death row in the state of Oregon. So I was like, shit. Okay.
Which is a lot, by the way.
It's a lot. I ended up having to get down there to work for like a few days to get the whole feel of death row, how males in death row are treated, because she has to be treated the same. She has to have everything that the males have in death row, and you can't discriminate or anything like that. So I went down and I worked down at OSP death row for a little bit to kind of get a feel and learn everything about how death row was for an inmate. And then we were just kind of waiting for the verdict to come back. And then, all of a sudden it came back that this girl's name was Angela McAnulty. She came out of Eugene and she was sentenced to death. And I was like, it's happening. Yeah. Like, oh shit, everything got to put into plan now, you know? So I wrote the first policy and procedure for Coffee Creek and post order for female death rows in the state of Oregon. So I did that, you know? So we ended up assigning like a block of 3 cells in one of our special housing units, caged them off. So, and then having to wire the cell for electricity because she had to have a television and all that, and then exercising and all that. So she was housed in an area in special housing unit with inmates that were in there for like disciplinary reasons, whatever, you know. So it was kind of like it was a challenge. It was, how are we gonna, you know, make this work? But we did. We made it work. She had everything that the males had in death row, and kind of like visiting and all that became like, okay, what do we need to do when we escort her? Right. Because, you know, she can't be around any kind of general population inmates while she's being escorted. So if she had any kind of visitation, the facility pretty much would go into lockdown while she came out and moved. You know, she would wreck by herself. And, you know, so, you know, it was an adjustment for her. I mean, I understand that too, you know.
Yeah.
It was, you know, she was the first female in death row. She was getting housed in special housing unit with inmates that were in there. So she was getting a lot of abuse. She ended up, you know, like, without, you know, you Google her, you know, what she did for a living. So she was getting a lot of like a verbal abuse too from a lot of inmates in there. So
how many women since her have been sentenced to death row?
she was the only one.
Wow.
And then it got overturned. Yeah. So where death row was overturned and she was sentenced to life without parole, you know.
And how many years was she on the row before she hit?
I'm not sure. I had retired from the department in 16, and I think she came on like 2 years before I came on. And then during my brief retirement there, that's when the state had overturned the death penalty. So she was transitioned out to general population.
Yeah.
So,
wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then I remember like when I came back a couple of years ago, I did a contractor work for the state before, you know, when I came back, I decided to go back to work. I worked as a contractor, escorting people in, contractors in to do work in the state. And I like remember going out one day to Coffee Creek escorting contractors and seen her walking up the corridor, you know. And she'd go, oh, McGuigan, where you been? You know, you're, you know, like, oh my God, how are you transitioning back into, you know, general population? How you doing? You know, but it was, So, I wore a lot of different hats as a lieutenant. I really enjoyed my career as a lieutenant for Oregon Department of Corrections.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah, it was good.
Well, and you know, what about your STG stint? You know, when you were STG lieutenant, there's a lot to that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, your knowledge in that is still to me is mind blowing.
Yeah, and me and Lieutenant Mesa, you know, I'd fill in for Lieutenant Mesa. I would teach for the corrections class, gang identification, and, you know. So working with STGs, it's a whole different. I mean, it's a whole different environment. You know, they're just not like your normal. You know, these guys are, I mean, every time when I look over my shoulder, when I'm leaving the parking lot, you know, I look at my car, staggering my way home from work.
Sure.
You can get a lot of threats, you know, because these guys would say, you know, STGs, you sanction them, you take restrictions away from them, you put them on like loss of privileges and you ship them around the state and they make threats to you, you know, like, hey, I'm going to take you out, you know, motherfucker, you know, okay, well, more than likely, you know, if they make a threat against you that's a little bit legitimate compared to some guy that's just running his mouth behind a cell door, you know, if these guys make a threat on you, like, hey, I'm going to have you shot or you know, look out, you're going to get killed, and you know, so STG was a whole different, you're dealing with a whole different level. So anybody that deals with law enforcement in the street that works with gangs, they'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean, these guys, when they make a threat against you, it's legitimate, you know?
Yep.
So, but I think my saving grace was the fact that I was Irish, and they gave me a lot of respect for that.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, they give me a lot of respect. You know, they like, hey, this dude's Irish. He's all right, you know, don't mess with Irish dude. And I always treated them like, you know, I was firm but fair with them. You know, I would hold them accountable. Yeah. But again, at the same time, I would say, look, hey, this is your actions that are caused this action. You know, if I got to put you on loss of privilege or I got to say, it's because of something you done. Right. You know, I told you not to do it. You did it. So, you know, as you say, you worked in DOC. Respect is earned. And it's like you can't start working in corrections or law enforcement and get respect within like a week or a month. No. It's years.
It doesn't come with your duty year.
It doesn't.
Nope.
I mean, you have to be, and these guys got nothing to do but sit and watch you and how you interact with people.
Yep.
Are you going to hold me accountable for something that you might let somebody else go with? If you hold everybody accountable across the board, these guys will give you respect because they know, hey, this guy is firm, but he's fair. Yep. He treats everybody the same. Yep. He treats us all on the same level. Yep. So after years of doing it, I mean, I had respect from me, you know, and I had some people that, you know, that actually, they had we had a statewide gang network, and they were like, we'd put out like information. Does anybody know what this means, or anybody know what this means? And I remember they had to put something out I think it was to do with the Oaks, the Oregon Area Crime Syndicate, and they went by the number 36. And they're like, what the hell does the 36 mean? And one of the guys told me, he said, look, you add up the letters in the alphabet with the things, it comes 36. So I put it back out. And that came from one of the guys themselves. So I had a couple of guys, too, that actually did debrief with me and gave me everything on, like, one of the big groups at that time was the European Kindred. So I had a guy that did debrief, and we put him under anonymous, and he gave us a lot of information on that. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a highly intel network shared across the state, all the prisons. So I was pretty good at getting information. And if somebody needed something, I would work my sources. And you know what? I hate to say it sometimes. Something as simple as a cell move will give you a lot of information.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So until like, hey, move me into my buddy over there. All right, okay. Well, everything comes at a price. What are you going to do for me? What do you want to know?
Well, that's true.
You know? So,
it's 100%.
So, yeah. So, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that. I mean, yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And then highest rank you held at DOC?
Was a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you retired what year?
2016.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving back to when you met Tim.
Yeah.
What started the band? Like, how did you get roped into the band just like everybody else?
Actually, at that time I was working with the Clackamas County Sheriff when I came back up. And at that time I just came back from Arizona. And I knew Tim was working up here at Tualatin Valley Fire. So I remember this, a lot of Tim Burr stories, but this one I'll never forget. So I'd get hired at Clackamas County. So I'd moved up and I knew Tim was up here in Clackamas or Tualatin Valley. So I called Tim and I said, hey, I'm in Portland again. He goes, yeah, I heard. And I said, all right, here, let's go out for a drink. Meet me at the Old Chicago. It was an 82nd in Clackamas. Tim goes, Old Chicago? He goes, hell, I got one better than that. I'll come pick you up. And that was, Tim introduced me to Betty McGraw's down at 39th and Hawthorne. Like, oh my God. Now that time, Tim was playing with the Portland Police Bagpipe Band. He hadn't started the Tualatin Valley Fire Bagpipe that time. He was with Tualatin. So Tim put me in, because I drummed with a band in Ireland and stuff, you know. And Tim said, oh, we're hiring like drummers. I started off playing the snare drum and did that for a bit. And then can't remember what happened. One of the guys that was the bass drummer quit or something or moved on. And so I became the bass drummer for the Portland Police Highland Guard. And they used to call me Boom Boom McGuigan. So I started, and that was me and Tim first bagpipe experience with Portland Police Highland Guard. Like, well,
you have that.
I got rhythm.
You do. You give it a little more than most people do, and it's epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I started. Well, I was with the Portland Police Highland Guard, and I played with them for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then, you know, Tim founded the Tualatin Valley Fire Band, and it was just, for me, it was a no-brainer.
Well, and you could play snare and, you know, bass drum. But it changed when you got on the bass drum.
Oh, yeah. Changed, yeah. Snare was all right. I mean, I can't read music, and like I say, I can't.
Other than when Jeff takes the drum and plays Kane with it, you know.
Yeah, like I say, when I played snare and he started like doing all this, oh yeah, here's this drum score, you know, like what the hell's that? You know, I can't read music. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, you play and I'll listen to you and I'll pick it up by ear, you know?
Yeah.
So and then I came like, fuck, I can't have all this shit, reading all these notes and crap, all this shit. Fuck all this crap, you know? Easier just doing the boom boom, you know? So I said, screw this, I'm taking the boom boom. So that's how I ended up becoming like the bass drummer.
Yeah, you've done well at it.
Yeah. You know,
remember when you pulled your back at the Old Fashioned Day Parade? My brother picked it up. And I was like, "You're not going to play that thing."
Yeah,
the wind grabbed it.
The wind grabbed it around that corner. I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Your back.
You know, hey, we get a fucking workman's comp claim out of the bagpipe band. You know, that was Manzanita.
I'm laughing still too because I was thinking today about the time when we did the St. Paul Parade, and you know. We circled up and played America the Beautiful right in the middle where they were calling out who was coming through the parade. And I remember Chris just freaking out because we stopped and I'm like, no, let's do it. and people went nuts about it. Chris was like, we can't be doing this. And I'm like, just dude, we'll do whatever we want. It's all good.
Chris is hailed.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think one of probably the funniest memories I ever had playing with the bagpipe band was when we went down to Guadalajara, Mexico. We represented, Guadalajara's, Portland's sister city. Mm-hmm. So we went down there, and I remember we were out, and I bought this huge. I knew we were going to play one night at some big event, and I can't remember what it was for. It was a big live, stage. We were on stage, and I think there was some concert going on or wherever the hell there was going on. So we were out in the market that day, and I bought this fucking massive sombrero. I was like, I'm going to wear this fucking thing tonight, So as each member of the band come up, you get a modded clap, hey, whatever, And I was the last one to come up on the stage, and I had this fucking massive sombrero on my head. As soon as I hit the stage, dude, the fucking place went wild. The people were fucking loving it, I was like, what the hell? Yeah, that was probably one of the most funniest moments I remember playing with the band was that time. Yeah, Guadalajara was something else. And, it was good. Like I say, with the bagpipe band, as we did many, many cities, and, it was just
a lot of fun stuff.
Every city had a story, and it was great then back them days. It was more like, we were there for a purpose, but at the same time, we enjoyed ourselves as a group. We were very tight.
Yeah.
Everybody had each other's back. We just, we were more like a family back in them days. It was more like everybody knew everything about everyone, and it was just like we were a very tight knit group. So again, going back, if it wasn't for Tim Burr, it would never have happened.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
So you've retired from DOC.
It did, yeah.
Now what are you doing?
No, I went back to, like I say, I took a little bit of hiatus. Went back home. Went back home.
What'd you do there?
I opened up this wild, crazy thing. I had bought a food, like a ice cream truck, like a food service truck.
It was an ice cream truck.
It was an ice cream truck. And I opened up an American diner, and I called it Route 66. So, yeah, I did that, and then it was pretty lucrative. It was busy. I mean, and then like everywhere else, insert COVID, fucking everything falls apart.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it. I tried it. I don't want to. It was a lot of work. When I retired, it was like, I didn't think I would ever do anything like that, but it was a lot of work when you run your own business again and stuff, The biggest thing about when you run your own business, and a lot of people that run your own business can tell you, the biggest nightmare is staff. Getting staff to work, getting staff to get along.
Yeah.
It's a horrible fucking experience, you know? Some staff can't work together. They go out one night on a date, and they're in love, and all of a sudden
I can't work tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't want to work with that person. You're like, what the hell did I sign up for this? So actually, to be honest with you, COVID was kind of a blessing because it made me go back into retirement again, where all I did was, like, I traveled Europe. I was in Portugal. I was in Spain, Canary Islands.
Yeah.
I was loving life, just traveling and enjoying life.
You owned an ice cream truck, right?
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
King Whippy.
King Whippy.
Yeah, and there's actually two of them in Eugene. My cousin's daughter has two of them now in Eugene. That's pretty... Do you
get any royalties from that?
No, no, I don't. I get free ice cream.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're still going. They brought it here, a soft serve ice cream truck in Lane County. They're the only soft serve ice cream truck in the state of Oregon. They're pretty lucrative to get to, they do a lot of duck games, duck events and stuff like that, because they're based out of Eugene.
Yeah.
So if you get on Facebook and look them up, King Whippy, I mean, they're really, really popular. She's done well, so.
Good.
Yeah.
When we went to Ireland in November 23, of course, my kids were dying to see you. And of course, the one time that you're not in Ireland and we're in Ireland, you're in, where was it?
Tenerife.
Tenerife. I don't even know where that's at.
Tenerife just hit the news yesterday with that virus. What's the name of that virus?
I don't know.
Virus now? Hanovirus or
virus,
or whatever it is, virus.
I don't know.
They had a dock to ship in Spain and take everybody in and ship them back to their home countries.
Oh.
So Tenerife it's in the Canary Islands. It's off the coast of Africa, but, it's sunshine, 365 days a year.
Yeah, amazing.
Cheap food, cheap drink, cheap lodging.
Yeah, well, you weren't in Ireland when we wanted to be there, when we were there. So
yeah, no, that's where I was.
And you would have missed the largest
riots in Dublin.
the Dublin riots, dude.
Yeah, I know. Well, I feel your pain. Yeah,
that's all right.
You go there for a vacation and
holiday.
Turns into like
Can't believe you said vacation. It's like holiday.
You think you're in downtown Portland?
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, the band's been amazing, and like you said, it's been a incredible journey with that. But yeah.
And like I say, I know it's like I say, we're doing this tonight, and aside from that, it's like we're doing a thing tomorrow for the Lincoln County Drug Graduation Court, and you've come over for this, and Tim's here for this, and I was telling Tim, I can't remember the last time that me and you and him got together to do an event. I think it was like maybe in Baker City for a DOC or something. So it's like what, 12 or 13 years ago at least.
Yeah, it might have been the guy that was killed on the side of the road.
Yeah.
It was I blanked his name. He stopped to help somebody with a flat tire or something and got killed on the side of the road.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was cold that morning too in Baker.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the last time that me and you and Tim have played together. And like I say, the fact that you and Tim are here to do this event tomorrow, it's like,
Well, we opened Deer Ridge. That was fun.
We did. We did some memorable things. We went to, Mitchell and we went there.
I tell that story sometimes at Mitchell.
Yeah, we have been, like I say, we do this because we want to honor the people, law enforcement and, first responders, line of duty. But you know what?
It's fun.
You got to have your fun too. I mean, granted, when it comes showtime, we're on cue.
Yep.
We give them a send off. We give them, a top 10, performance. But leading up to that, it's the fun that just getting together and just hanging out like we're doing tonight. This is, I mean, this has been so long. It's like I say, we're not getting any younger.
Nope.
Nope. And to be able, like I say, you did a podcast, I know, with Tim Burr, and like I say, part of this is, people can look back on a podcast and they'll see like a memorial service. They'll see pictures up there, and they'll see like who really is that person that is in the pictures, Yep. And this podcast that you're doing, it's, thank you. And I follow a lot of your podcasts that you do, and you've done a great job.
Thank you.
I mean, and listen to some of the people you've had on your show and the stories you've had to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, when you watch one of your podcasts and you listen to like this, their life and what they've been through, I mean, it's kudos to you. It really is putting people, in the spotlight,
That's important. It's important just so people can get a good story of who someone was.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be around.
Yeah.
Always a way to look at it. So, well, buddy, like I said, I can't thank you enough for coming on and just chatting about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like
road.
I say,
I mean,
when you look at some of the people you've had on, there's stories to tell and stuff like that. For me and you, it's just like, we've been friends for a long time. And if it wasn't for this bagpipe band, we would have never met.
Nope.
So,
no. And it goes beyond, I mean, there's like I said, I've interviewed people that I know and I've worked with, but this is a special time, and I don't know. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so we've been talking about it. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'll be out this year and to visit you. And,
we'll come. I'll get you on a horse. Get me on a horse.
Do I have to buy one of them big fucking sombreros again?
No. I'll let you wear one of my cowboy hats or something. But
and Wranglers and boots.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do any of that. But I'll put you on a special horse just for you.
Okay, copy that.
So, thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come over and give me the opportunity to do this. And best of luck to you in your podcast.
Cheers, brother.
All right,